Good day. We are gonna tackle today about different variety of word Englishes perceptual judgment and speech characteristic by Okim Kang and Megan Moran Wilson. Introduction. The incorporations of different varieties of English into high-stake English proficiency tests has been proposed as way increased the test ecological validity as well as to reflect the demographic of global English speaker and the 20th century Loins and Davis 2008 have criticized an increasing use of international tests of English proficiency because with tests have traditionally privileged speakers of a standard variety of English and have disadvantaged speaker of none-not awareness. They believe this test too inherently biased of systematically representing the true score of candidates by requiring facility in a variety of English to which whole groups in candidates have not been exposed.
Objectives to perceive different varieties of word Englishes in terms of accentedness and comprehensibility, to relate the pronunciation features of different varieties of word Englishes.
Methods. 18 speakers served as speaker participant for this study. They represented countries designated by CACHU 1986 as Inner Circle, Outer Circle, and Expanding Circle specifically. Two countries from each designation were represented: the United States and the United Kingdom, Inner Circle, South Africa, and India, outer circles. The Mexico and China expanding circle. Each of these countries held 3 speakers, 2 females and 1 male for a total of 18 speakers. Care was taken cruise speaker from each circle with the same linguistic background as well as from the same region to ensure the similar dialect. The 45 listener include U.S. undergraduate student, international undergraduate student 9, U.S. graduate student 15, international graduate student 5, NES teacher 3, ERED and NES teacher 5. 36 were female and the remaining 13 were male. These listeners were all affiliated with university in the southwestern United States. They were recruited through emails such as Department List Survey and applied linguistic classes. Listener could complete the survey at their own convenience providing they had access to internet and computer with the speaker.
Result. The preliminary analysis combined the 3 speakers from each country in order to examine accent, the comprehensibility, writings for each language 1, backgrounds. The one result can be seen in the table 2. The correlations coefficient between these two constructs was 0.77, which is suggested as strong correlations. The American speakers were rated as the least accented and the most comprehensible of all the language, with the British speakers right behind them. Then the one of the expanding circle countries, China, contained the next lowest Asian accent and highest comprehensibility as perceived by the listeners. This was followed by Indian English speakers. Thus part of rankings of this of comprehensibility writings match the rankings for accentedness ratings. However, Mexican speakers were evaluated as the most accented of the 6 varieties and South African speakers were viewed as the least comprehensible.
Discussion. It is now commonly accepted that rating of accentedness and comprehensibility are correlated, yet is still somewhat different. Derwing and Monron, 1997. The current study provide evidence for this view, but not exactly in the same manner. When examining highly proficient speaker of words Englishes who are university-level professors, listeners from shared language 1 countries rated British English as significantly more accented than American English. Although they were not significantly different in comprehensibility, this may indicate that the typical standard English has shifted gradually from British to an American dialect.
Conclusions. The study explored listeners' perceptions of different varieties of we and accent, relationship between pronunciations, features of we speakers, and listeners' judgments of those varieties in terms of comprehensibility and accentedness. Throughout, The current speech analysis certain the features prominent and correlations of listeners' judgments of attentiveness and more importantly comprehensibility. These features were lexical stress, prominence, the emphasis of constructive words, and high functional slowed vowels and consonants.
Recommendation. In Oki's third suggestion, he advocates for consider the features of speech the most and less affect comprehensions when designing measurement instrument to ensure that speech varieties are close enough to the standard varieties to avoid unfairness due to the familiarity. Although did not investigate speech figures that affects comprehension, this study examined which chronological variables most affect perceptual notions to comprehensivity. It is their hope that this information will be used to inform a screening tools that would increase the ecological validity of English assessment while simultaneously prohibiting test bias.